And had I not, not to put too fine a point on it, but had I not been quite so undervalued over the past 12, 18 months on Hollyoaks as I was, and I was undervalued. Had that not happened, I wouldn't have been able to find my value inside myself. I wouldn't have realized that I'd outsourced my value to a company, to a production, and that's not how that works, because you tie so much of your identity up in your self-worth and your value, your intrinsic value, and then you realize actually you're just a cog in the machine. You are replaceable. You know, a job is just a transaction. You're exchanging your time and your services for money, and beyond that, there isn't anything. So my experience is actually really similar to yours. I had so many moments over the past 18 months where I was like, yeah, that's a sign. And, you know, 5 years ago, I would have, I would have taken it really personally. Some of the decisions that were made around me as a performer on that show. But in a way, it was a real positive. It became a real positive. I was like, no, this is absolutely, I'm fine with this, because I've got this. I know what I'm doing now. I'm doing this work on myself. I've done this work. I've got this structure. I've got this new direction. And yeah, without that, I wouldn't have had it. And the same for you. You know, those realizations, those moments of like, yeah, I shouldn't be here. This isn't for me. So powerful, mate. So powerful.
Yeah, and it takes time. It takes time to take the leap. So many men don't. They stay in those roles, and those victim saboteurs just have their own way with you every single day. And they did with me. You know, my 10 saboteurs were on my back all day. I'd make a mistake cutting a piece of wood floor, and I'd just fucking throw it across the room. What am I doing here? Yeah. Why am I still doing this?
It's historic as well. You know, don't forget, you know, our fathers were raised post Second World War by our grandfathers who'd lived through a war, and it was a very, very different time. So we as young men were taught from our fathers, or inherited from our fathers, you know, a work ethic and a stoicism and a belief that the man's role is this. This is what a man looks like. This is a man who is a provider, who shuts the fuck up, who goes to the pub after work, these are his responsibilities. This is what a man looks like. And we've realized, or we are realizing, that it's bullshit, and it doesn't fit in. It doesn't fit in with this society that we currently live in. And that's, you know, there's a lot of men out there with, you know, developed serious mental health problems. There's a lot of, you know, male suicides through the roof. And I think a lot of the cause of that is that men are struggling to live up to these, you know, this idea of what masculinity and what a man looks like. And I think we need to redefine that. I think we need to look at what masculinity looks like before we can start addressing that problem, because it's all very well and good. You know, you and I think we're probably in the top 1% of men who've managed to make that switch and make those changes and do that work and forge this new avenue for us in this new direction and this new career. But that's not available to a lot of men. It's just not. They haven't got the time, they haven't got the space, and they're trying to live up to this warped idea of this old-fashioned idea of what masculinity looks like. And I think it's a lot more complicated. And you must see these men all the time. You must speak to these guys all the time, you know, that are frustrated and unfulfilled and trapped and just stuck in a rut. And they're capable of so much more, but they've spent, you know, 30, 40, 50 years being told that, no, this is what you do. This is what your life looks like. This is going to be your sole purpose until you're 65 and you retire. And hopefully you've got a big enough pension to support you for 15, 20 years, and then you die, and that's it. And that's not, you know, an ambition that I think we should be looking at. I really don't.